How we doing, guys? Psycho Steve here with your Week 6 recap. Here's what went down in Week 6. In our first matchup, we had the Woodhead versus the Taint, which is always a painful matchup. And when I say Woodhead, I mean the 2-2-1 Give Her the Woodhead versus the 3-2 Li Golden Taint. This one was a pretty close matchup, and as I said, an always painful matchup when the Taint meets the Woodhead. Golden Taint had a big-time performance from Deshaun Watson with 23 points. Another solid performance from Doug Martin with 15 points. And a huge performance from the Ravens defense with 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, a kickoff return, and a punt return for 20 points. But Andre Ellington stunk up the field with a big goose egg, putting up 0 points for Li Golden Taint. Jarvis Landry for Give Her the Woodhead put up 8 receptions for 62 yards and a touchdown for 20 points. Give Her the Woodhead rode Le'Veon Bell's coattails for 3 receptions for 12 yards, 32 fucking rushes for 179 yards, and 1 touchdown, running all over the Kansas City Chiefs, put up a big 27-point performance. Li Golden Taint got his bell rung as the Woodhead slips out and slams into the Golden Taint for a victory. Give Her the Woodhead 115 to Li Golden Taint's 110. Give Her the Woodhead improves to 3-2-1. Li Golden Taint falls to 3-3 on the year. In our next matchup, we had Travis the Tree Trunk versus the undefeated Team Limp. Team Limp coming in at 5-0, and Travis Tree Trunk coming in at 2-2-1. Undefeated Team Limp was taking on Travis the Tree Trunk, who looked like Travis the Tree Stump last week. Team Limp starting 2 tight ends, which is a pretty unconventional move for an undefeated general manager. Jameis the Crab's Legs Winston got injured in the first half, which was a pretty big blow for Team Limp this week. He had a decent performance from Adam Thielen with 9 receptions for 97 yards, seeing increased action due to Stephon Diggs' injury and being out of the game. A big game for Jordan Howard with 36 rushes for 167 yards, putting up 17 points. But he also had the 2 tight ends in, Cameron Brate and Jordan Reed. And we all know that Travis Tree Trunk loves nothing more than a tight end. And when you have 2 of them in, that's just Travis Tree Trunk's birthday right there. Travis Tree Trunk took a break from airplanes this week and studied up on his botany with a little help from some fertilizer. And playing the 2 tight ends, you could hang a wet towel from his big, huge performances by Larry Fitzgerald with 10 receptions, 138 yards, and 1 touchdown. Antonio Brown with 8 receptions, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns for 29 points. Evan Ingram with 5 receptions, 82 yards, a touchdown for 19 points. And the Texans defense with 3 picks, 1 for a touchdown, a safety, and 4 sacks for 23 points. After the management by Team Limp this week, he should do what's sensible, file for unemployment, and try and get a job at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, because they have an excellent corporate structure and they give you the tools to be your own boss. I see plenty more losses coming for Team Limp in the coming weeks, with 7 tough opponents in a row to end his season. Travis Tree Trunk beats the undefeated Team Limp in this one, 139 to 111. Travis Tree Trunk improving to 3-2-1, and Team Limp falls, finally, falling to 5-1 on the year. In our next matchup, we had WW Slaves, We Are WW Slaves versus Cleats and Cleavage. This was a sister-in-law clash. A clash between ex-roommates. Finally a battle to get even over who ate whose leftovers in the fridge. This one started out pretty poorly for WW Slaves, with Aaron Rodgers going down with a season-ending collarbone injury, putting up 0 points. Cleats and Cleavage came out huge with another big 30-burger from Melvin Gordon, putting up 25 rush attempts for 83 yards and a touchdown, 9 receptions for 67 yards and a touchdown, and Carson Palmer, finally with a new running back, was able to pass the ball and put up a big performance of 21 points. Demaryius Thomas exited Sunday's game with a leg injury, but not before putting up 10 receptions for 133 yards for 21 points. Cleats and Cleavage also had a huge performance out of her defense, the Rams defense, with 5 sacks, 1 pick, 1 block kick, and one block kick for a touchdown, and a kickoff return for a touchdown, for a big 21 points. And it seemed that WW Slaves Amir Abdullah might have missed some daily prayers as he rolled out his rug and prayed to Mecca for most of Sunday's game. His prayer time took a lot out of his playing time, only putting up 5 points. But she did have big performances out of Carlos Hyde, putting up a big 23 points. Marvin Jones Jr. for 6 receptions and 96 yards and a touchdown with 21 points. And all-day old man Adrian Peterson for 25 points with 134 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Her defense, her kicker, and the rug rolling out Amir Abdullah upset WW Slaves, giving her the loss in this one. Cleats and Cleavage coming out on top, 164 to 139. Cleats and Cleavage improving their record to 4-2, and we are WW Slaves, unfortunately falling to 1-5. WW Slaves needs to channel her inner William Wallace to make a comeback in this season. They may take our lives, but they will never take our freedom! Good luck to you, WW Slaves, in Week 7. In our next matchup, we had our featured matchup, which was Team Mary versus the Bohemia Bombers. The Bohemia Bombers coming off their first win, and Team Mary desperately looking for her first win. Team Mary coming in at 0-3-2, and Bohemia Bombers coming in at 1-4. We had the Bohemia Bombers with a huge game out of his kicker, guys. Ryan sucked up all the points for 21 points just out of field goals. Leonard Fournette, another big game, 130 yards rushing with a touchdown for 21 points. DeMarco Murray with 18 points. But Team Mary, unfortunately, had a weak performance out of her running backs yet again this week. Tom Brady's game looks to be deflating. After putting up some big performances, only put up 16 points this week. But Melvin Ingram put up a big-time performance with Adrian Peterson out of his way, with a big performance of 29 points. And a good waiver wire pickup last week, Nelson Aguilar scored 15 points for Team Mary, but the rest of her team was disappointing this week, and Bohemia Bombers dropped some bunker busters on Team Mary, going into the victory for Bohemia Bombers 151 to 110. Team Mary desperately needs to search the waiver wire for the answer for her possible first win going into Week 7. Team Mary falls to 0-4-2, and Bohemia Bombers improves their record with 2 wins in a row to 2-4. In our next matchup, Mom versus Son. Team Pagan takes on Suffolk Psycho Steve. Team Pagan brought Suffolk Psycho Steve into this world, and she was looking to take him out of this world and take him out of a possible playoff berth. Kirk Cousins started off the day with a huge performance. 330 yards passing, 3 total touchdowns, 1 interception for 27 points. Golden Tate, 7 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown for 22. Austin Safarian Jenkins with 16 points, 8 receptions for 46 yards and a touchdown. He was robbed of a touchdown in one of the most questionable calls I've seen in years in football. It's possible Suffolk Psycho Steve may have paid off the refs for this call, and he might be under investigation by the league. But he's a league general manager, so good luck with that investigation. Suffolk Psycho Steve comes out with Trevor Siemian passing for 376 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions for only 15 points, which was pretty lackluster considering he put up 376 yards passing. A Week 5 waiver wire pickup in Jerick McKinnon had 16 rush attempts, 169 yards, and a touchdown. 5 receptions for 30 yards and a touchdown for a big 24-point performance, his best running back performance of the year. But with his only hope, Mike Evans, it didn't look too good when you saw Ryan Fitzpatrick coming into the game after Jameis Winston went down with injury. But he got it together, and Mike Evans put up 3 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown for 18 points. And Rob, the glass jaw, Gronkowski, the Jets couldn't find an answer for him. Put up 6 receptions for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns. This led Suffolk Psycho Steve coming out on top, beating Team Pagan. Suffolk Psycho Steve increases his record to 2-4 in the year, and Team Pagan falls to 3-3 on the year, going into Week 7. And in our final matchup, the undefeated Fire Goodell versus the very strong Team Capadlo. This one came down to the wire, folks. We had a 2-3 Team Capadlo with Christian McCaffrey with 8 rushing yards, 10 receptions for 56 yards, and 1 touchdown with 21 points. Matt Forte returns from turf toe for 15 points. And Brandon Cooks, 6 receptions for 93 yards, putting up 15 points. And we go to Fire Goodell. He had a good, selfish waiver wire pickup of Carson Wentz, putting up 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 20 points. Kareem Hunt had a tough time against Pittsburgh's defense, with a season-low usage out of Kareem Hunt, which really hurt Fire Goodell this week. With only 9 rush attempts for 29 yards, 5 receptions for 89 yards, and only 15 points, which is pretty low considering for Kareem Hunt. Pretty good performance from Kelvin Benjamin of the Panthers for 9 receptions for 99 yards and 18 points. This one came down to Monday night. It was a Monday Night Madness. Earlier in the week, Fire Goodell had Derrick Henry starting and changed his mind after putting up 2 goose eggs in weeks 4 and 5. Who could blame him? So he put in Frank Gore in replace of Derrick Henry. It was Frank Gore for Fire Goodell versus Team Capadlo's Jack Doyle. Team Capadlo looking for a little bit of luck of the Irish. This score was going into Monday night, 98-94 for Fire Goodell. But Jack Doyle put up 7 receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. And Frank Gore only put up 7 points with 49 yards of rushing. This led Team Capadlo to leave Fire Goodell with his first loss of the year. And we could all say, "Oh, Doyle rules! Oh, Doyle rules!" as Fire Goodell finally falls. I predict 2 losses in a row for Fire Goodell going up the red-hot Bohemia Bombers in Week 7. Team Capadlo beats Fire Goodell 110-105. improving their record to 3-3, and Fagerdell falling to 5-1. That's it for the Week 6 recap. Keep an eye out for your biggest performances and your biggest disappointments for Week 6. I'll also update the winning and losing streaks. Keep an eye out for the update for Week 7, and best of luck to everybody in Week 7. See you guys next week.